Hello, friends. I'm Jackie Eicher, and I'm here to bring a message to children, especially, and anyone's welcome, of course. We begin with our candle and our breath practice, which is to breathe in and say, I am breathing in God's love. And then with another breath, I am a beloved child of God. So take a moment to get comfortable. Take a deep breath. I am breathing in God's love. I am a beloved child of God. Please remember that. And I will too try to remember that. This week, we're going to talk about actually a really wonderfully connected story for myself, because if you don't know already, I have a dog, and my dog's name is Pearl. And I always think of Pearl in connection with this story, but I had forgotten where it came from, so I'm glad to see this and be able to talk about it. It's from Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 45 and 46. It's very short. This is the verse. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had just to buy that pearl. This has been interesting to me to think about again. It's been a while since I've thought about this, but now that I have the story of adopting my dog Pearl, I can really understand it better. I'll just briefly say what's in the newsletter, and that is about 7 years ago, I became really excited about painting animals, and especially dogs, because I couldn't live with dogs anymore. My apartment didn't really make a good home for dogs, and I don't think my landlord allowed dogs. And then I adopted Pearl because I found a way that she could live with me and help me. And my landlord agreed, and she's been with me for over 6 years now. And I've changed my life so that I can help Pearl have a wonderful life too. And we share that life together. And it's been a joy for me, and I think a joy for her most of the time. She seems very happy. But here's a reflection on the story. Sometimes we get really excited about something, and often we'll drop everything we're doing just to do that, to focus on that one thing. For instance, I know that some kids are going to a bounce house tomorrow, and they haven't been able to go to a bounce house for over a year. And they are very excited, and I think everything will stop when it's time to go to the bounce house. Sometimes we even make sacrifices so we can be part of wonderful good things. You might remember how Jesus called the disciples to go with him and follow him. Many of the disciples were fishermen. But when Jesus called them, they dropped their nets and they started a new life with him. These things still happen today. Like I said, I dropped the life I had, and I paint now, and I paint with Pearl, and I paint Pearl a lot. But back in history, there was a civil rights movement in 1960s, and a group of people became so passionate and angry about racism in the southern states that they dropped what they were doing. They left all their plans behind and rode in buses together to fight for justice. They were called the Freedom Riders, and they weren't the only ones. There have been other movements like this all over the world. In South Africa, people struggled for 50 years against a racist system called apartheid. Today in Hong Kong, people organize to fight for their human rights. In Russia, people work against the oppression of the LGBTQ community. Passionate people let go of their plans and head out to be part of something bigger. In the story about the merchant who was looking for fine pearls and ends up finding one beautiful, valuable pearl, he sells everything he has to buy it. And now this merchant has nothing except for one big, beautiful pearl. He isn't even a merchant anymore or a store owner. He's become the guy with the big, beautiful pearl. Now what? Sometimes the kingdom of God feels like this kind of adventure. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into, but we know that the mysterious adventure is worth trading in our treasures. The disciples and the freedom riders did not know how their story would end. They may have been afraid to try something new, but they took the risk. It might feel silly or even irresponsible to sell or give up all you have to go on an adventure like this, but it can be exciting and freeing. When we decide to build a life on invisible treasures, we do not have to stress about all the old treasures that we actually had in person. We may still have precious possessions, but they don't compare with the new way that we've decided to live. I have some questions for your family to answer, or for you to think about. Have you ever given up something in order to try something new or different? For me, this looks like rearranging my furniture, which I do a lot. I know that some people don't like change like that. And so it could be just rearranging your room to see how you like it. But maybe there's something bigger in your life. Maybe you've moved. Who else left behind a life or treasures in order to have a different kind of life? Can you think of anyone else who made a difference by giving up their treasures? And the final question is, how do you decide what risks are worth taking? What adventures are worth following? It's good that this story came up for me because I sometimes think being with Pearl is so much work and so hard for me that I feel like I can't do it or do it alone. And I am reminded through this story at what I have chosen. And I've chosen a life with Pearl, and I love her very much. And even though she has some challenges and some things she's afraid of, I want to keep helping her with those and helping her have friends. Help her have friends. Okay, here's an activity you can do at home. Think about your family and think about the story of the man who sold everything he had to get the one beautiful pearl. Does your family ever change your plans? When families want to build up their invisible family treasure, they can go on adventures together. Time together helps us create memories, build trust, and share love with one another. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's a lot of work, and you might have to sacrifice something. We may have to stop doing something else in order to create a family treasure. So here are a list of pearls that you can choose from, and each one is an activity that you could do with your family. You'll need to talk about this and support each other because some other plans might need to be changed. Okay, here's the list. You could, very soon, you'll be able to go to the farmer's market. That's one thing. You can take silly photos together just for fun. You could bake something and share it together. as a special treat. You could eat a meal at a table all together. You could play a board game. You could watch a sunset or a sunrise. You could watch a special movie together. You could go on a walk together. There are so many things you could choose to do. Creating memories is one of those invisible treasures that you can keep in your invisible treasure chest, and it will always be there. Friends, take a deep breath. On Sunday morning, those who gather on Zoom with me help blow out the candle, but I will do that for us today. I am breathing in God's love. I am a beloved child of God. Okay, until next time, enjoy the spring weather that we have. See you next time.